Hey guys, welcome to episode 6 of the Game Build series. In the last episode, I played my first round of golf back after a long layoff, and that got this game build thing started. But it's been a while since I played that round in episode 5 because, as it turns out, it takes a very long time to make these videos and start a YouTube channel. So there's been an unintended break in there along the way, but what's another couple of months out of 15 years, right? So, in this episode, we'll analyze that first round along with a couple of others I've played since, and that will give us enough to establish some baselines. And we'll talk about where I really am at this point and where I need to go from here because things have gotten real. Okay, before we get into analyzing these rounds that I've played, I want to get something on the table. I want to make it clear that when I talk about these rounds and my game, and I'm clearly not happy, it's not because I expect to be doing better. It's not because I think that only par golf is good golf. It's because unavoidably, inescapably, the standard that I have for my game is par and better. That's because I have occupied that territory before, and that's where I'm trying to get back to. But scores are relative, and the experience that we all have in the game is universal. You can take the scores that I'm shooting and replace them with yours and what you know you can do, and it's the exact same thing. I don't think there's a player out there who thinks, "Wow, I've got this licked. I'm doing this at exactly the level that I think I should and aspire to." Every single player is out there thinking, "Why can't I do this the way that I know that I can?" Tour players are having that experience. And the difference between, a 68 and a 72 for a tour player is probably greater than the difference between a 72 and an 80 for me, okay? And drop in, your scores. If you're accustomed to shooting 80 and suddenly you can't break 90, that doesn't feel good. Or if you're accustomed to shooting 90 and you can't break 100, that doesn't feel good. So that's what it is. Scores are relative. So when I'm talking about my scores and, analyzing my game, there are players out there who would say, "Wow, I wish I could walk out there and shoot 80. Well, yeah, sure. But if you could see 72 from there and you'd be wanting to go there. So all that's relative. The point is that the experience that we all have in the game is universal. We're all seeing what we could do and not doing it and being frustrated by it. And that's all I'm describing here. The scores are irrelevant. So I just want to get that out on the table first. Okay. All right. So let's take a look at these rounds that I've played so far. First, I want to let you know about the home course. I generally play from the Gold Tees, which is right at 7,000 yards, with a course rating of 74.9 and a slope of 150. So it's not an easy track. And if you watched episode 5, you could see that there's some severity out there. Now, typically the tees aren't set all the way back on every hole, so it doesn't play quite this difficult, but generally this is what I'm dealing with. And in round 1 from episode 5, this is how I navigated it. I shot 42 on the front, followed by a 38 on the back for an 80. I only hit 4 fairways, which is pretty terrible. I hit 11 greens, which, considering I hadn't played in so long, is not really bad. LUND stands for long up and down, which means anytime I've got a wedge in my hand and I'm not greenside, I want to try to get the ball up and down. I had 3 chances and didn't get up and down on any of them. SUND stands for short up and down, which means anytime I'm greenside, I want to get the ball up and down. I had 5 chances and only got up and down once there. And then with the putter, I had 36 putts, and the 2 and 2 means I had 2 1 putts and 2 3 putts. Then I had 1 birdie, and I made 4 mental errors. And mental errors is kind of subjective. Basically, anytime I do something that really seems like it should have been avoided, I count it as a mental error. I show these stats in particular because they are indicators across all 5 parts of the game the way I divide it. Fairways and greens reflect ball striking. Long up and downs reflect wedges. Short up and downs reflect my greenside game. Putting is putting, of course. And then birdies and mental errors are playing stats. Okay, here's why I divide the game up that way. Number one, I want to keep things as simple as I possibly can. So I want as few buckets to analyze and deal with as I can possibly have. And I divide it up that way between ball striking, wedges, short game around the greens, and putting, and then playing. I divide it up that way because those are, within those buckets are still similar efforts or skills to master. So with the ball striking piece, whether I'm hitting a driver or a 9-iron, it's essentially the same swing with the same requirements and the same feel. When I go to wedges, if it's a 40 to 120 yard shot, say, that's a different set of skills. Then you go greenside, and no matter what that shot is, it's different from wedges and it's different from putting. And then putting is its own thing altogether. And then playing is the set of skills like course management and focus and pre-shot routine and all that stuff, where you're taking the skills that you have across these 4 and applying it on the golf course. The other thing is, beyond keeping it simple, is I want to be able to track these things. I want to see where I am against the standard that I've set, and I want to see my progress in these things over time so that I know that what I'm working on is working toward improvement or not, and then I know I need to change something. So that's why I do it that way. So the next round I played was pretty much the same story. The ball striking was a little better. I hit 6 more fairways for 10, 1 more green at 12. The long up and downs and short up and downs were not much improved overall, and then the putter was about the same. Only 1 birdie, 5 mental errors as I can count them now. But in round 3, I actually shot 73, which on paper looks like, okay, things are really starting to turn around. I hit 12 fairways, 13 greens, had 5 birdies. But I was not hitting the ball well at all. I had just arrived at this really weak swipe to the left across the ball that caused it to start left and then cut back toward the target. And I knew that if I just keep swinging like this and I take 2 more clubs from the fairway, I can get it around the hole. I had no idea what I was actually doing. I just stumbled upon something that was serviceable. It was more of a fluke than an indication of progress. What it did indicate, though, was that I still know how to make my way around the golf course. And it was nice to shoot a 73. And then in round 4, I didn't get away with it, and it was back up to 81. Only 5 fairways, only 8 greens, wedges and greenside still not good, putter still not good. This is typical of the way I'm playing right now. But with 4 rounds on the board, we can start to see where I'm really starting from. It's clear I'm leaving strokes on the table across all the aspects of my game. At only 7.8 fairways, that's a lot of missed fairways and opportunities for bogeys and doubles to creep up. The greens, partly that's a function of missing fairways, but hitting more greens means more birdie opportunities. With the wedges, both long and short, I don't have any feel going and not scoring well. The putter is stone cold, and the scoring just isn't there. Starting at 79 with these kind of stats, clearly there's room to move back toward par once I get some feel going. All right, now here's the thing. The game is played with feel, okay, and nothing else, really. You can't play good golf consistently without having the feel of what you're doing. And all the technology in the world can't replace that. It doesn't matter if it's the clubs or the ball itself or all the swing analysis technology that's available out there now. You have to go out on the golf course and play with feel. And what I mean by feel is awareness of what you're doing and what's going to happen when you do it. It's a feel is a knowing, for lack of a better term. You know what's going to happen if you execute on your intention. You're creating the outcome that you want on purpose, and you know it's going to happen from inside out. And it's a beautiful experience, and that's what I'm looking for. Okay. Now, the problem is for me right now, I have no feel. I'm disoriented over the ball, whether it's full shots or wedges or greenside or putting. I don't have a clue. I can't feel a thing, and I'm unaware of the target line and my alignment and all those things that I want to see and sense that allow that feel to present itself. And I'm almost completely unaware of what's going on in my golf swing. All that awareness is part of not having played and just going through the pain of getting back out there and trying. And that all leads me to the unavoidable conclusion that this is going to take some time. And not that I didn't expect it was going to take some time, and not that I'm disappointed in that. It's just the reality is hitting. Okay, this is not a proposition of weeks. This is going to take months of really intentional, dedicated effort to get me back to a place where I feel like a golfer, both in terms of how my body feels and in terms of how my game feels. Because right now I'm kind of nowhere. And the only real remedy for where I am is time and repetitions. That's really what I intended for this series to be. The channel is going to be much more than that, but what I intended for this series was to show you guys everything that I'm going through from a really cold, even colder than I thought, start all the way back to where I want to be, which is a fully competent, fit, par-breaking player. And by the way, I really appreciate you guys watching these videos, and if you're enjoying them, I invite you to subscribe to the channel, because that'll help me ensure that I'm humbled by the game in front of as many players as possible. And I thank you in advance for helping me do that. But regardless, I hope to see you in the next episode. Thanks for watching.